It seems like pretty much everybody is buying these fragrances up, and it might kind of have you wondering why, what's so good about these? Today I'm going to try to explain that. I think every hobby, every interest has this type of phenomenon where, something gets talked up to the point where everybody has to get their hands on it, and that's kind of what these fragrances fall into. So let's start working our way through these with Prolom. I mean, we all have seen the hype on this. You can't avoid Prolom. And so what's the deal about it? I think it comes down to the simple fact that this one is so soapy clean and wearable that you cannot mess it up. I think that's really one of the main appeals for this one, because when you have something that might be a bit challenging and you have the fear of wearing it in the wrong situation, you might not find yourself wearing it at all. You might not see it spiral and get crazy popular. But when you have something that can be worn for any situation, period, it blows up. And that's kind of what this one is. I mean, it's got the nice clean iris in here with some white florals, musk, and some minor light woods in the base. But you just can't go wrong with this. You can wear it for spring, summer, fall, and even winter. I mean, whenever you feel like throwing this one on, you can do it, and no matter what situation you're going to, it's going to work. I think it excels in workplace environments and school, but I mean, anything else, a date night if you wanted to, no problem. Anything, it's just going to do really well. It's also, at least compared to a lot of other designers out there, a little bit more affordable, with a discounter price of, I don't know, $80, $90, somewhere around in there. It's still expensive, but look at the going rates of a lot of others, Acqua di Gios and, other Armanis and so on. So, it's getting expensive out there. This next one is Eros Flame. At one point everybody was talking about the EDT, and we've kind of gotten past that. But Eros Flame has also been showing up a bit more lately, and I think, for me anyway, I had a pretty big change of heart on this one. When it first came out, I wasn't super excited about it. Wore it here and there, but not a ton. Didn't really hardly ever talk about it. Something recently has changed to where I have been finding myself kind of leaning on it a little bit, and I've been enjoying it so much more than I ever used to. And I think part of it is because it has a nice kind of aromatic, creamy, slightly fruity opening. It's not as minty and sweet as basically all of the others. And so there's actually a little bit more of a smooth, mass-pleasing nature about this one. And I think that's kind of what connects with a lot of people, where the original Eros is the original Eros, and the EDP and the Parfum remind you of that original, and you might be sick of it by now. Flame kind of gets away from that a little bit to where it's almost like a new scent entirely, even though it still is very similar, if that makes sense. And don't get me wrong, I love Eros Parfum. I think dollar for dollar, it is one of the best in the line. Great performance, better performance than this. It still does have a little bit of a twist, but Flame is a great one that is worth checking out. And if you're seeing it talked about all the time, maybe that's a sign for you to try it as well. This next one is Leighton by Parfums de Marly, and to me this has kind of become the new Creed Aventus, where everybody was talking about Aventus. It's the most hyped up thing ever, it's the best compliment getter ever, but it's also crazy expensive. That's kind of what Leighton is now, because the Aventus hype has passed. Now, this is coming from someone who loves Aventus. I have 10 plus bottles of it. I wear it often. I love it. I don't talk about it much anymore because it's kind of, like beating a dead horse, but I love it. But I could still sit here and tell you, and, with an unbiased approach, that the hype is gone. It's kind of become a bit too much. There's too many clones. Nobody wants to talk about it anymore. It's boring now. Leighton kind of fills that void. It's a luxury product that gets tons of compliments and smells great to everybody. That's what Aventus once was. And it still does smell great to everybody for the most part. Still gets great compliments, but it's no longer in the spotlight. Leighton is, and it's great. And I do have an understanding of why that is. It's because it fills that same void, but with a sweeter approach, apple, cinnamon, vanilla, and all of that. You can get clones of Leighton as well, and those could be anywhere from $30 to $50, which is still a lot more affordable than Leighton itself. This next one is Mont Blanc Explorer, okay, and this one, it's kind of contradictory, but it's an Aventus clone. I was just going on about it, but the fact of the matter is, people still want it. People still want to smell like it, but they don't want to spend the money on it. And you don't have to. There are so many clones out there. Again, too many. Explorer, however, is a little bit different because it's from a designer brand, so it's in the designer market. This is in department stores. Armani Club de Nuit Intense Man is not in department stores. You really can't go out and smell that one in person and buy it, okay? You got to get it online. This, you can get it at your local retailers all over the place, and probably even Walmart carries this. CVS, things like that, they might have this now. And so that makes the Aventus DNA even more obtainable. And so in those environments, though, it's still $80 retail, but on discounters, it's $40. So definitely recommend buying it on discounters if you want it. And at that price, you know, it is hard to beat. So people are buying this one simply because it's a designer alternative to Aventus. Next up, we have Halloween Man X. And this one has tonka bean whiskey and so on, so forth, coffee in here as well. It's popular within the community, and that's probably about it. But, you know, a lot of what we're looking at is that kind of fear of missing out when you're watching videos and reading articles and stuff about scents. This one pops up a lot. A lot of people are buying it up. It's another one that's $40, $45 on discounters, 125 ml. Great price point. It's very likable, sweet, a little bit gourmand, a little bit boozy. There's a good reason behind the fact that this one does so well, and that's simply because of that price and mass appeal. You combine those two together and it's going to do well every time. And I mean, that's even not always the case. Sometimes it's horrendous price, way expensive, and mass appeal, and it still does well. But especially when you get low price and ton of compliments together, it's just going to do crazy good. This next one is Dior Oh 2020. You know, it's heavy on the modern woods. A lot of vetiver, Isoe Super, Cashmerean, a little bit of musk in here, some citrus off the top. I believe it was a bergamot, although I can't remember 100% sure. But it quickly goes into a soapy, vetiver, woody dry down, essentially. A lot of aroma chemicals in here, clean, fresh. To me, it's not all that exciting. To most people, it's probably not all that exciting, but it's something that you could wear for any situation that you can possibly think of. It's more affordable than the others. I think you can get this one as low as $80 to $85 on discounters, and it's super, super mass pleasing. People love how it smells. This next one is Bion EDP, so it's really done pretty well for itself. It's been getting talked about, and that's going to continue to happen because they're pretty consistently putting out flankers. EDP Intense, Essentiel, Eclat, all of those, which they're all great, by the way. You know, that's also going to help lift up the original in this instance, at least for a while. What'll end up happening is it's going to get very top heavy in the sense that a lot of flankers are going to be out there, even more than there are now. And then with more time passing, this original is going to start to get buried. Like, look what happened with the original L'Homme and other things like that. The original Amal. Everybody's talking about the flankers now because there are many, many years in between. So that'll happen eventually. But because this line is still new and there's a lot of attention on the flankers, which there aren't a ton of them yet, this one's getting lifted up as well, although that will change eventually. But I do think the original is great. A ton of violet leaf, so it's very ozonic. It's very fresh, kind of blue, purpley smelling from the violet leaf in here, which is very distinct. A little bit of a watery smell, musky, citrusy, super clean, super easy to wear, $60 to $70. Can't go wrong with Armani Code Parfum. Has that original tonka base with some iris on top. Really good release. The iris is not too prominent. It's not like Dior Oh Intense or anything like that. It's actually kind of more of a slightly soapy iris in here, I would say. Kind of more similar to a Prolom style, just because of the freshness overall. These bottles are refillable, which is a cool little note. You can unscrew it and buy yourself a refill if you were to ever work your way through it. I only like to point that out because it's great in theory, and it, you know, good for the environment. But you know, if you're buying stuff secondhand, you really have to be careful. It would not be hard to unscrew that, dump it out, fill it with who knows what, and sell it, and then you're kind of screwed. So just do your due diligence. Buying on discounters is going to be the safest way, aside from retail, of course, because it's still going to be sealed in box. You start going on eBay and, you know, Facebook groups and forums for this type of stuff, and it could start getting a little bit more questionable. Regardless of all of that, Armani Code Parfum, great release. And out of the current in production Armani codes, this is by far and away the best one. Last up, we have Moschino Wave. And this stuff is a cross between Versace Pour Homme, Chanel Allure Homme Sport. And so because of that, it's super popular and it smells great to pretty much everybody. What's nice is it has more so the price of the Versace, coming in at about $40. So, I mean, super affordable. Has a magnetic cap, nice presentation. It's a good package overall. Performance could be improved, but neither of the other two perform all that well either. So it's kind of about on par with those. Overall, if you want a super wearable signature scent that especially works well when it's warmer outside, you can't go wrong with Moschino Wave. Again, a lot of people are buying this stuff up right now. The price point, the mass appeal, everything about this one just is in its favor big time. That's going to do it for me, guys. Some great scents that pretty much everybody is buying right now. I recommend you check these out. Definitely worth adding to your collection. I'll link them all down below so you can save some money on them. Also, if you want to get notified of anything rare, discontinued, hard to find, coming in stock, La Nuit de L'Homme Bleu Electrique, YSL, La Nuit de L'Homme Bleu Electrique, Armani Code Absolute, and many other great deals, rare finds, jump on my mailing list, texting list down below, completely free, and you're missing out if you're not over there. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.